Live from the Selleck Bowl on the campus of Butler University, you're watching Butler Men's Soccer on the Butler Athletics YouTube channel. My name is Nick Lewis.
I'm Kelly Hallinan.
And we're pleased to have you with us on this warm Saturday afternoon as your Butler Bulldogs are taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This will be Butler's fourth match of the spring season, but it's actually their first true home game this spring. The first three games were all played indoors at the Grand Park facility in Westfield, which is actually near my hometown of Carmel, Indiana. And Kelly, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to see them. I haven't seen them yet here at home at the Selleck Bowl. So I'm just excited. You know, it's going to be a good Indiana rivalry, Notre Dame Butler, and I hope that they can get their first win of the season.
Should be a great game. And definitely some players to watch out for today. Hemi Nasser and Wilmer Cabrera Jr. for Butler. Meanwhile, for Notre Dame, keep an eye out for Jack Lynn, number 27, the forward. So what are you looking forward to most in this matchup, Kelly?
Yeah, well, first off, I'm excited. You know, there's a new person in the starting lineup of Jack Streberger. This is his first ever career start, and head coach Paul Snape has kind of gone with the same lineup the past three games, so you can tell that they're still trying to find their rhythm, you know, switching people in and out, so I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table coming off of injury. We haven't been able to see him play too much, but I'm just excited. You know, I think the name of the game is going to be scoring. It's obvious. I hate to preach to the choir, but they've been scoreless in the last two games, and last season they only went two games the whole time scoreless, and that was against a ranked St. John's and national champion Georgetown. So I think that they're still trying to find their offensive rhythm, and I hope this game they'll be able to put the goal in the back of the net.
So Butler with the opening kick. Got the ball on the far end of the pitch. Now Perrin Barnes with it. Kicks far over to Griffin DeBolt. Now going downfield, Jack Streberger heads it out of bounds. So Notre Dame with the throw in here. Looks like Daniel Russo, Townsend Meyer with the throw in here. Headed by Butler. Almost corralled by Hemi Nasser, but kicked away by Notre Dame. Daniel Russo sends it over. Burns with the kick towards the goal. Knocked away by the Butler defense, though. Notre Dame here with an opportunity early. But they're being pushed back by Butler. You can see Wilmer Cabrera Jr. and Hemi Nasser both working deep into the Notre Dame territory. And looks like the ball will go out of bounds. It was off Notre Dame, so Butler here will have the throw in. Score obviously 0-0. 43 minutes left to go here in the first half. Across the field pass to Griffin DeBolt. Stolen by Notre Dame. Townsend Meyer tried to work it upfield, but there wasn't really much room for him. Great pass there by Notre Dame to keep control of the ball here. Meyer sends it back to his defender. That's Philip Quinton, number 2 there. Sends it over to the goalkeeper, Keegan McLaughlin. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of him tonight or today. Gabrielle Georgi as well coming in here. Boots it deep out of bounds into the away team's stands. Both teams fighting for possession on the far end of the pitch. Looks like it'll go to Notre Dame, so a goal kick coming from Gabrielle Durgi. Corralled by Butler. Sending it upfield to Jack Streberger, who sets up Griffin DeBolt. Looked like he tried to set up Wilmer Cabrera Jr. there, but nothing doing there. The Notre Dame defense was all over it. And Kelly, what do you think are the keys to victory here for Notre Dame and Butler?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, I mean, scoring, duh. They need to get the ball in the back of the net. I think that right now they're at a little bit of a disadvantage compared to Notre Dame. Notre Dame had that fall season, whereas Butler had an inconsistent practice schedule, mandatory quarantine. So these past non-conference games have been them finding their rhythm, and they're still working it out. They're still figuring out themselves offensively, and they're getting shots on goal. They just need to finish. They just need to work on their crosses, be better in transition. But I think that just one key is going to be filling in those gaps from last year. You lost three pretty good scorers, one in Brandon Gould. He scored 9 goals in the whole season and a few game winners, again, with Alex Lettinen and Jared Timmer. So I think just filling in those gaps will be huge for the Bulldogs, and these non-conference games are very important for them to kind of find that offensive rhythm, see who's going to step up this year. And I think I talked to some of the players, and I think that they're kind of just getting the losses out of the way. I don't think these past 3 games is a good representation of what the rest of the season's going to look like. They were picked as the top team in the Midwest Big East bracket, so I think that they're just finding their rhythm, and I don't think that this slow start, these past 3 losses, is a good representation of what's to come in Big East play.
Yeah, for sure. As you mentioned, Butler 0-3 so far on the year. Meanwhile, Notre Dame comes into this game 5-4. That includes some games that they played in the fall, because the ACC actually did play a fall season. Notre Dame's last game going into this, looks like we have a foul here on Butler. I think that was Hemi Nasser. So Notre Dame will have a free kick, but Notre Dame going into this game hasn't played a match since, I believe it was November 18th against Pittsburgh when they lost in the ACC semifinals. But the game before that, they pulled off an impressive win against UNC. And I believe you mentioned before we were on air, Kelly, that in that game, Jack Lynn had 3 goals. So
yeah, Jack Lynn is definitely their offensive weapon. Honestly, if we can contain him today, I think that'd give us a pretty good shot in this game.
Yeah, that would definitely be a great sign for Butler moving forward if they can contain one of Notre Dame's best players.
I think another thing that Butler's hoping to do today, which they haven't done in their past 3 matches, is get the first goal of the game, because that really sets up their momentum. They can control the flow of the game at that point, whereas when they lose the lead early, it's kind of a fight for the rest of the game. And so I think getting that goal will kind of boost their confidence and kind of set them up to control the flow of everything.
Georgie tries to hit Griffin DeBolt there, but the ball sails over into the stands, so it'll be a Notre Dame throw-in. Jack Lynn running over to it. He's also being guarded by Hemi Nasser. Or excuse me, that was Perrin Barnes. Pass to DeBolt. Moves it up to Nasser. Nasser shake and bake over to Jack Streberger. Streberger passes back to Harvey. Sends it up to the goalkeeper, Keegan McLaughlin. Oh, bit of a trip there, but gets up immediately.
I like how Butler's playing right now. They're being aggressive. They're hungry. Wilmer Cabrera Jr. running right up to the defender, not giving him any room to breathe.
For sure, yes. Got to be aggressive against a team like Notre Dame when you know there's a good chance that they're going to score at least a goal or 2 with Jack Lynn out there.
And speaking of their goalie, not even the goal scoring, their goalie has had a standout season as well. I think in his career, half of the games he's started in has been a shutout. So he's definitely another key piece for them, and that's tough when their goalie is one of the best players on the team because obviously, how are you going to get the ball by him? But I think Butler will find a way today. They're hungry, they're aggressive. It's their first game at home. They're looking for that win before Big East play.
Butler in possession right now. Perrin Barnes working with it. They're just looking for an opening upfield. Sends it over to Nasser, but it's stolen. Notre Dame now running down the field. We've got a breakaway by Aiden McFadden. Defended well, though, by Barnes as he kicks it out of bounds. Nice work by Barnes to catch up with McFadden.
Yeah, senior forward Aiden McFadden for Notre Dame actually has 4 assists, and he's ranked tied for 4th in the ACC for assists, and they've all come off crosses. So that was a good stop right there because that would have been a nice assist.
For sure, yes. 35 minutes to go, score still 0-0. Wilmer Cabrera Jr. turned on the Jets there, but had the ball stolen at the last moment. Butler now working with the throw-in. Taken by Notre Dame. Pellegrino passes to Lynch. Now over to Meyer. All the way back to Quinton. Notre Dame moving the ball around a lot right now, just trying to find some holes in the Butler defense. Reese Myers on the defense there. Looks like a foul will be called. Big chance here for Notre Dame to get in scoring position as we're very close to the Butler goal. Patty Burns will take the kick. Sends it through. Blocked by Notre Dame, though. Or, sorry, Butler. So that will set up a corner kick for Notre Dame. Should look quite similar to what we just saw. Blocked again by Butler. This time it doesn't go out of bounds. And Perrin Barnes races over to the ball. Over to Streberger. Streberger slides in and trips McFadden. So Notre Dame now with possession. Quinton and Abulnaldi working with it. Now Notre Dame's on the offensive. Blocked by Butler. Reese Myers in there. Notre Dame, though, able to recover and retain possession. just under 32 minutes to go in the first half. Score still tied at 0. Notre Dame sends it upfield. Meyer in control. Knocked away, though, by DeBolt. So this will set up a corner kick opportunity for the Fighting Irish. They've had some good chances here on offense early. And this will be another one. Here comes the kick. Headed away by Butler. Notre Dame retains possession, though. It has been kicked out of bounds. I did not see who was the last to touch it, but it looks like it'll be a corner kick, so Butler was the last to touch. Patty Burns taking the corner kick. This will be the third for Notre Dame here early. Just 30 minutes to go in the first half. Score still tied at 0. And now here comes Butler, but Notre Dame able to get the ball away before Wilmer Cabrera Jr. could get to it. DeBolt wrestles with McFadden on the side. Eventually, Perrin Barnes gets possession. Over to Reese Myers, who then sends it. Now back to Reese. Butler showing some nice ball movement here. Not moving forward too much, but just looking for holes in Notre Dame's defense. Now we've got something going here. Jack Streberger. Looks like he just lost control of the ball there, though. An early mistake results in a Notre Dame possession here. Stolen quickly by Butler. Sent upfield by Haywood. McLaughlin will walk it out of bounds. So this will be a goal kick. So Kelly, Notre Dame's kind of been in control on offense here early. They've already had a few corner kicks. What do you think what do you think Butler should change in order to take back some of these possessions?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. I think that they just need to get the ball, be in control of the game instead of going side to side, move the ball forward. Obviously, that's the goal. I mean, they're showing good techniques. They're showing they can pass it. They can, get it down the field. But it's just the silly turnovers, like going out of bounds or kicking it right to the other team, I think is kind of what's getting them right now. Speaking of that, Hemi Nasser advances the ball.
Yep, nice work by Nasser.
Good pass to Streberger, but just couldn't finish.
Tough break for Streberger. He had an opportunity there.
But as his first career start, I think he's already making himself known on the field. He's already gotten quite a few touches.
Yeah, Streberger has definitely been present in this game so far. Just
good save by Perrin Barnes right there.
Yep, nice work by Barnes. Looks like Notre Dame will be taking control here, though, as Streberger opts not to chase the ball, really. So Abelnadi and the Notre Dame defense looking for a lane to send it through. I like how patient Notre Dame is being so far. I think that's been a big key in allowing them to get good offensive possessions is that they're really patient with the ball. They only send it up when they know there's an opening. Meyer over to O'Brien, who then sends it deep. Headed back to Butler, though. And some contact. My friend Sam Wiederhaft would call that extracurricular activity. Tommy Wieser on the play. Butler now with the free kick. This will be taken by Reese Myers. Opts to just send it over to Barnes. Back to Myers.
Right now we are still sitting at 0-0 with 25 minutes, 36 seconds left to play. Scoreless so far. Notre Dame's had a few opportunities, but obviously nothing's gone in.
Yeah, no really big plays so far for either team in this game, aside from maybe the few corner kicks that Notre Dame's had. Butler, of course, has had a couple opportunities as well, but nothing that really panned out so far. So McLaughlin working with it. Quinton advances it to Meyer. Back to McLaughlin. McLaughlin over to Abelnadi. Stolen by Butler. Running up, we have a close play there. Well defended by Notre Dame, though. Just get the ball out of there before there's even a chance of it going in the net. Throw in now for Butler. Touched by Nasser, but knocked away by Notre Dame. Looks like we'll have a corner kick now for Butler.
We got Joel Harvey taking that one.
Yep, Harvey on the kick.
Normally switches between Harvey and Haywood.
From the far side, Harvey. Doesn't get to anyone, really. Just kind of passes the entire group. So this will go back to Notre Dame. They'll have a goal kick. That was one of the first major opportunities that Butler's had on offense, though. We'll look to see more from the Bulldogs as this game goes on. 23 minutes to go in the first half. Score still tied at 0. Booming kick by Notre Dame. That'll just go straight to Butler's defense. The kick by Myers, though, stolen away. Notre Dame now back in control. Burns to O'Brien. Eventually kicked out of bounds by Notre Dame. The throw-in by Butler just misses Nasser. Streberger now on defense. Working against Meyer. Taken by Pellegrino. Notre Dame with a chance here. Crosses it over, but no players in the area to try to knock it in. So Butler will walk away from that unscathed. And some extracurricular activity. Nasser knocked down on the field. That's obviously penalty. So Butler will reset here.
I got a comment here on the live stream asking who number 2 is for Notre Dame, saying he's kind of short for a defender, but as you can see, that is just the opposite. He is at 6'5", very tall for a soccer player. So honestly, huge part of the defense, though, getting it by him. Long legs. Definitely a good thing for Notre Dame's defense to have a guy that big.
Yeah, number 2 for Notre Dame is Philip Quinton. He's actually got the ball right now. Passed it over to Abdelnadi. Abdelnadi to O'Brien. Back to Quinton. Notre Dame again taking their time. Got 20 minutes to go here in the first half. No need to rush. It's a tie game after all. Butler, though, able to get the steal. Sent forward by Harvey. Harvey to Cabrera Jr. Stolen by Notre Dame, though, as they're running it up. Good work by Barnes, though, to take it back. That could have been a breakaway there for Notre Dame. Saved by Barnes, though. DeBolt to Visser. Visser over to Harvey. Harvey to Haywood. Haywood to Myers. So many passes here for Butler. It's hard to keep up with all of them.
You can definitely see that it's Harvey and Haywood kind of controlling that midfield. 2 upperclassmen for Butler.
And the ball eventually goes back to McLaughlin. Rather than sending it deep, he'll just send it over to his defender, Burns. Now Abdelnadi with the ball.
You got under 20 minutes to go, 18 minutes, 40 seconds left here in the first. Still 0-0, scoreless.
Definitely a defensive battle so far between these two teams. But as I say that, Notre Dame trying to get something going here in Butler territory. Well defended by Cabrera Jr.
Almost a steal by Tommy Visser.
Notre Dame now work it up.
Gets right back to it.
Fire over to O'Brien. Oh, ball. That would have been a field goal in football, but we're talking about soccer here. That's out of bounds. So with that, Gabriel Giorgi, who honestly haven't talked about him much so far this game, hasn't had to do a whole lot because it's been a lot of defense, a lot of turnovers on both sides. But he'll have the goal kick here. Sends it deep. Players debating who headed it out of bounds here. Looks like it'll go to Notre Dame. So DeBolt headed it out. The throw-in coming from Townsend Meyer. Still 0-0. About 17 and a half minutes to go in the first half. Sent deep by Townsend. Knocked away by Myers. Nasser trying to get the ball. Can't quite take control, though. Notre Dame able to get it away from him. Abelnadi working with it. Over to Quinton. Deep pass from Quinton to McFadden, who has to run back through a sea of Butler defense. Somehow doesn't lose possession, though. Over to Abelnadi once again. Headed away by Harvey. Butler now finally with the possession. Cabrera Jr. tries to send it to Streberger, but it gets stolen. Cabrera Jr. now with the ball and a chance here. He's got some help on the right from Nasser, but it's stolen away. Taken back by Harvey. Butler's going to take it slow, send it back to Myers. And we'll send it straight to McLaughlin. Butler not feeling good about that possession. Back to Abelnadi. $15 minutes to go, still scoreless. 15 minutes in the first half, I should say. Taken by Haywood. Nice pass to Cabrera Jr., but great defense. Quinton. Oh, nice move by Cabrera Jr., but he gets stopped by Quinton. Looked like he may have grabbed the jersey there or the arm and pulled him down.
Looks like it's going to be a corner taken by Haywood.
Yep. And that is a yellow card. Yep. Philip Quinton will take the yellow card for that. It was a pretty obvious grab there to not let Cabrera Jr. past him. So Butler with an opportunity here. It's essentially a corner kick from closer. Here it goes. Knocked away by Notre Dame.
And that's when it comes in handy to have a defender over 6 foot
Yes.
to head it out right there.
On those plays, you want to have as much height as you can
Ooh.
down there in the box.
Reese Myers tries to pass it in there, but no luck.
Yeah, Myers doing his best, but it doesn't quite get through there for the Dogs. They do have another chance here, though. This will be a corner kick. Kick taken by Harvey. So Burns and Pellegrino sub out for Notre Dame. And Visser subs out for Butler. So close there for Butler, but no one able to really get set up to take a good shot there.
Kyle Hagerman, so close. He just subbed in for the Dogs. Redshirt freshman. He's from Sun Prairie, Wisconsin.
Yep, Hagerman in for Visser. Butler still with an opportunity here. Notre Dame.
Griffin DeBalt takes it back.
Yeah.
Streberger.
Here goes Streberger. Stolen back by Notre Dame, but still deep in their own territory here. finally works his way around Nasser, but Nasser turning on the Jets, steals the ball back.
Hemi Nasser picks his pocket.
And here comes Haywood. Over to Harvey. Harvey on the far end of the pitch. Back to Haywood.
DJ hooks over to Streberger, but just misses, goes out. It's going to be back to Notre Dame ball.
Just under 13 minutes to go in the first half. Score still tied at 0. Throw in for Notre Dame.
Originally at the start, Notre Dame kind of controlled the flow of the game. They played it slow. They didn't take any risks with passing. Definitely kept control of the flow of the game, but now it's kind of a little bit quicker paced. Butler's had some opportunities.
Yeah, Butler's been fighting back a little bit here at the end of the first half.
Definitely applied that pressure on defense. No more passing around.
We love to see some action in a soccer game.
Perrin Barnes clears it out to Hemi Nasser. Just gets around the defender.
Yep, Nasser over to DeBolt. Goes past Hagerman. All the way to McLaughlin. McLaughlin over to Quinton. Quinton to O'Brien. O'Brien to Lynch. Back to Meyer. Back to Quinton and Abelnadi. Over to Lynch. Deep pass from Lynch. Barnes gets to the ball just before the Notre Dame offense. Jack Lynn almost had an opportunity there. Haven't seen a whole lot from Jack Lynn so far in this game. I don't want to jinx it, though. Notre Dame getting set up. Kicks past Lynn, but it goes in. Nice kick there for Notre Dame.
Notre Dame goal. Number 8, Matthew Ratatoya.
Scored by Matthew Ratatoya, number 8. So Notre Dame takes the lead 1-0 with just in the 35th minute, or just under 11 minutes to go here in the first half. That is what we call the commentary's curse. I was just talking about how they weren't able to score, and then all of a sudden they did.
It's like in basketball when someone's at the free throw line and they say that they're perfect from the line,
Yeah,
and then
it's
they
like
miss it.
They've never missed the free throw. And then
Try
they miss
not
it.
to jinx it.
Yeah, really.
Then that happens.
Yep. Commentator's curse. Myers with the ball right now.
Looks like we made some substitutions. We have Eric Hollenkamp, number 14, in right now for Butler.
Yep, Eric Hollenkamp. Myers over to Hooks. Back to Myers. Hooks tries to pass forward, but goes out of bounds.
Another one is Justin Savona, who came in.
Yep. So Savona and Hollenkamp in so far. Notre Dame on the far end. Trying to set up a goal here, but no. Corralled by Georgie. Drop kick to Nasser. Goes a little bit too far, though, knocked away by Quinton. Meyer running up the field. Good work by Reese Myers, though, to get it away. Cabrera Jr. now with the ball. Couldn't get past the Notre Dame defense, though, and we have a collision. O'Brien falls to the ground. Jack Haywood on the defense there. Haywood with the ball now. Back to Notre Dame. Both teams just kind of trading possession here. Abelnadi and O'Brien working with it. Back to Quinton. And Meyer. Knocked out of bounds, though, by DeBolt. So this is a throw-in. Whistle's blown. Claps coming from Butler here.
Notre Dame 11, Simon Roenicke. For 27, Jack Lynn.
Roenicke coming in for Jack Lynn, who will take a seat. Catch his breath. Notre Dame wants some fresh legs out there. And now Roenicke tries to run away with it, but too many Butler players in the area.
Nice pass to Hemi Nasser. Gives it back to Haywood. Let him get some control of it.
Haywood to Myers.
I talked to Reese Myers earlier in this season after their first loss to SIUE, and he is very excited to be back. He didn't play in about 14 months from injury, and then obviously the pause. So senior captain, very excited to be back on the field. I'm sure back at the Selick Bowl for the first time this season.
And Georgie kicks to DeBolt. Seems to be a player he kicks to a lot. DeBolt tries to send it to Nasser, but knocked away by Notre Dame. Notre Dame's been doing a solid job not letting Butler get set up. And with 6.5 minutes to go here in the first half, Butler will have to move quickly if they want to even up the score before halftime. Myers to Barnes. Back to Myers. Being knocked around. It looked like Hollenkamp was in there. Tries to send it up to Hooks, but it goes out of bounds. Notre Dame now with the throw-in. Some contact on the far side of the pitch. I can't really see who that is who was down just now. It's hard to see the numbers from way up here in the press box. But it looks like everyone's okay.
Butler down 1-0. 5 minutes to go here in the first half if you're just joining us. Justin Savona, quick feet, gets the ball back.
Yeah, way to go, Savona. And now Hollenkamp.
Looks like that's over to DJ Hooks.
Back to Butler. Sends it to DeBolt on the near side of the pitch. Now Nasser goes back to Barnes, back to Nasser. They're just trading places here. Butler looking for a lane. DeBolt might have something on the left. Whistle's blown, though. Looks like the ball will go the other way. Townsend Meyer on the throw-in for Notre Dame. Guarded by Hemi Nasser. Wow, what a kick over the shoulder there by the Notre Dame player number 11. Corralled by Georgie. Notre Dame with the breakaway opportunity taken by Georgie. What a play on defense. He slides in there at the last moment to prevent any sort of shot there. Now up to Cabrera Jr. Just can't get around Quentin, though. Almost crosses it. But Notre Dame takes it away. Working it up the field now. Taken by Nasser. He really just forced his way in there.
Up to Kyle Hagerman.
Yep, here comes Hagerman. Knocked away, though, by Notre Dame.
Good chance for the Dogs to reset, get in position. Good opportunity to score with just under 3 minutes to go. Down 1, Notre Dame 1, Butler 0. About to finish up the first half.
Yep, and we hope you folks will stay tuned for the second half. We will be taking a quick break at halftime. Hollenkamp with the ball. Up to Cabrera Jr. Back to Barnes. Butler taking their time here. They want to make sure that these last couple possessions that they get are good ones.
$1:50 to go, left in the first.
And that sails past the Bolt out of bounds. So Meyer throws in for Notre Dame. As you said, Kelly, minute 40 to go in the first half. Notre Dame leads 1-0.
Eric Hollenkamp jumps in, but looks like it'll be back to Butler.
Yep, back to Myers as he sends it up.
2-on-1 there. Justin Savona could not get it past those two Notre Dame defenders.
And Hagerman tried to get in there, but Notre Dame right now just kind of playing keep away with Butler a little bit. Over to Abelnadi.
1 minute. 1 minute to play.
1 minute to play if you couldn't hear the PA announcer just now.
Now is definitely a key time to make sure Notre Dame doesn't get a score. Going in 2-0 would not be a fun hole to climb out of here in the second half. Still only down 1.
Yeah, this is definitely doable for Butler. And one more possession here before the end of the first half. Here comes Myers.
30 seconds to go.
Deep to Cabrera Jr. He's got a couple defenders around him, but not too much in the way.
Ooh. Just past Hemi Nasser. 20 seconds to go.
DeBolt sends it way deep over to McLaughlin, who catches it nicely. And it looks like that'll end the first half here.
7, 6,
Butler with a good opportunity there, but unable to really convert at the end. And with that kick from McLaughlin, the first half comes to a close. Notre Dame leads by 1 over your Butler Bulldogs. Thank you so much for watching the first half, folks. We hope you'll stay tuned for the second half. But for right now, we're going to take a break for halftime. We hope, like I said, hope you'll stay tuned. You're watching Butler Men's Soccer on the Butler Athletics YouTube channel. All right, folks, welcome back to Butler Men's Soccer on the Butler Athletics YouTube page. Your Butler Bulldogs today taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame leads 1-0 after the first half. We're just coming to the end of halftime here. I'm Nick Lewis, and alongside me we have
Kelly Hallinan.
Indeed. And Kelly, what do you see from the first half? And
Yeah.
now going into this half, what do you think are some of the keys for Butler?
So still scoreless, unfortunately. Was really hoping to get that first goal right off the bat. Always good to get the first goal of a soccer game because you can kind of control the flow. Obviously, it's a very low-scoring sport, so it's always nice to start off with that first goal. But right now, we're playing defense. We don't want them to get a second goal, but we also want to tie them.
For sure, yes.
I think that the main thing is I think you can tell that they're finding their offense rhythm already. I mean, they've only played against each other the past however many months, so it's nice to see these new faces, especially on their home field. So I think I've seen some good sparks, some good moments against Notre Dame so far this game. Some close opportunities, but I think it's just finishing. Like they've gotten the corners and they've gotten it down the field, but it's just you do all that work, you want to get it in the goal. So I think it's just capitalizing on those finishes is going to be huge for them this second half. Honestly, I think the fast pace works a little bit better for Butler, as we've seen. With the slow pace, Notre Dame's totally in control. And I think with the fast pace, they kind of panic a little bit. And Butler, that's when they can kind of slide in, take the ball, and take advantage of those little weaknesses.
Butler wearing the white jerseys with blue stripes, and Notre Dame opting for their dark blue with gold. Butler going from left to right in your shot for this half.
It looks like Butler changed up their lineup too here for the second half. Not the same starters that started the first half. From here right now, I can see Justin Savona starting right now. I do not believe he started in the first half.
As we start the second half, Notre Dame leads 1-0.
Again, Notre Dame leading 1-0. 45 minutes to go in this game as soon as this ball is kicked. Daniel Russo with the kick. Over to Quinton. Quinton sends it up the field. Butler trying to corral it. Barnes able to get it away from the offense. Notre Dame now getting deep into Butler territory. Just kicks past the goal. Swing and a miss, but very close. Bit of a nerve-wracking possession there for Butler, on the other hand.
Gabriel Gergi's going to kick the ball for the Bulldogs. He has started in all 20 matches last year for the Bulldogs. He had 92 saves, which led the Big East, and his average was second in the whole Big East Conference. 6 shutouts. He's a really quality goalkeeper for the Dogs. Definitely tough season so far, but definitely a good guy you want in goal for the Dogs.
Score still 1-0. Butler leads. Or Notre Dame leads. I don't know why I said Butler there. Nasser on the far end of the pitch. Now over to...
Looks like Jack Streberger.
Yep, Streberger. Kicked away by Lynch. It sails into the away stands. That'll be a throw-in for Butler. Partway in Notre Dame territory here. A lot of fighting on the far end so far. And the whistle blows just before that throw-in. With that, it looks like still Notre Dame possession here. Daniel Russo trying to work with it on the far end, but the whistle is blown yet again. So Notre Dame will have to get set up once more. Back to McLaughlin. And kicked deep and eventually out of bounds.
And that's what happens when you pressure them. Makes them panic a little bit. We're going to have Savona, I believe, with the throw in.
Savona behind the stairs. We can't even really see where he is right now. Comes out of the corner. Streberger pushed off of Burns there, which will be a turnover. So possession back for Notre Dame, but Quinton just kicks it out of bounds. The pass was off. Now to Savona, who's running up the field.
Tommy Visser crosses.
Yep, finds Visser, but the cross not in the right position. It'll just go behind the goal instead of in front. So that will set up a goal kick for McLaughlin. In the first half, Notre Dame with 6 shots compared to Butler's just 1. Notre Dame has really been firmly in control except for a few opportunities that Butler has had so far in this game.
40 minutes to go in the second half.
Yep, Notre Dame still leads 1-0. And they're advancing up the field, but Barnes is in the way. Nice job corralling that before it got out of hand.
Perrin Barnes is a sophomore defender out of Illinois. He was one of only 5 Bulldogs last year to appear in all 20 matches and made 15 starts as a freshman. So he really came right in, made an impact for this Bulldog team.
Yeah, and Barnes has certainly been present on the defensive end today. We've seen a lot from him. Savona and Myers working with it. Now they'll just send it back to Georgie. Could have bombed it, but decided to go to Barnes. Up to Harvey. Harvey advances it. The ball goes out of bounds, but Butler retains possession. Bit of a skirmish on the far end. Looks like the ball will go the other way. Notre Dame now with a kick. Booming kick downfield. Knocked away by Barnes. And kicked into the away stand by a Butler player. Ball goes out of bounds. 38 minutes to go in this game. Notre Dame leads 1-0.
We talked about, right as the game started, we kind of talked about those seniors that had left, graduated last year, and Jared Timmer now plays pro, Alex Letnin, Brandon Gould, who was a great scorer for the Bulldogs, and kind of who's going to fill in their spots. And I think we definitely know Wilmer Cabrera Jr. We have him. We're happy to have him. He had a standout freshman season for the Dogs. Oh, Almost another opportunity there, but back.
Yeah.
But Wilmer Cabrera Jr., he was Big East Freshman of the Year. He was all Big East second team from Columbia. He has a great, huge soccer background. He's been playing soccer his whole life. Looks up to his dad. But we're happy to have him back. He's definitely a big offensive presence for the Dogs, as well as Hemi Nasser. He appeared in a few games last year.
Here goes Cabrera Jr.
Yeah, here he goes.
Turning on the Jets. Butler still has the possession here. Back to Cabrera. Blocked by Notre Dame. Big kick. Corralled by McLaughlin, but that was one of Butler's first major offensive opportunities that we've seen this game. Outside of a few corner kicks in the first half, there really hasn't been much going for the Dogs deep in Notre Dame territory. Stolen away from Notre Dame, and now a trip. Both players get tangled up. Butler will retain possession. This is a good opportunity for Butler to get set up deep in Notre Dame territory now. Here comes the kick. Headed away by Notre Dame. Harvey tries to get it to Nasser, but it's knocked out of bounds by Notre Dame.
That's going to be a corner by Jack Haywood. Jack Haywood's out of Nottingham, England, just like teammate Reese Myers. He also received some Big East honors, All Big East third team and 2018 Big East All Freshman team.
Corner kick coming in. Headed by a Butler player, knocked away by McLaughlin.
Hemi Nasser.
Here comes Nasser. Big kick, but it just sails over the goal.
You can see the frustration with the Dogs. They were so close and just missed. But, hey, still got 35 minutes to go. Still time to tie it up with Notre Dame, who's up 1-0 right now.
Yeah, this Butler offense starting to show real signs of life here, which is a great sign.
You can hear Jack Haywood from the field saying, we can do it again, let's do it again. So they're hungry, they're ready, they want this goal. Their heads are still in it. And just like that, Wilmer Cabrera Jr.
Here goes Cabrera, over to Nasser, just misses. Very, very close opportunity there. Just couldn't get the right angle on the kick, and it sails out of bounds just beside the goal.
Hemi Nasser and Jack Streberger, Michigan to Michigan connection. So close. But that's what happens when you apply pressure. They're not just letting Notre Dame kick it around and control this game. They're applying pressure, they're being tough, they're hungry.
We're seeing much more pressure right now come from this Butler offense against Notre Dame. Goal kick from McLaughlin. Headed back to Reese Myers. Ooh, some contact. Cabrera Jr. on the ground, but he gets up. He looks okay. Nasser back to Haywood, who gets tripped. And a deep kick downfield. Reese Myers in the area. Myers, excuse me. More contact. This time Joel Harvey on the floor, yep. 33 minutes to go. Notre Dame leads 1-0. Harvey gets up. Walking it off.
Joel Harvey's another senior for the Dogs. He's been present in almost every game, I think, in his Butler career. He is out of Indiana, so he's a local guy, but last year he scored 2 goals in back-to-back contests and assisted in the game-winning goal in an overtime win over Villanova. So he's a huge presence for the Dogs, provides that upperclassman leadership for a lot of these young guys.
A skirmish on the right side of the field. Notre Dame walks away with possession. And now advancing up the field. Here comes McFadden, but it goes out of bounds. Notre Dame will have the throw-in. It's their own Reese Meyer. Very similar name to Butler's Reese Myers on the defense. Reese Meyer.
32 minutes to go. Notre Dame 1-0 for anyone just joining us. Welcome to the Butler Athletics live stream. Men's soccer takes on Notre Dame, their first home game at the Selleck Bowl. They've had a few other home games in Indiana at Grand Park, a nice indoor facility. But this is their first true home game, looking for that win. Right now, 0-3 in non-conference play. They'll start the Big East season next Wednesday versus DePaul, the Midwest region. Obviously, they had to split it up, try and limit the travel for COVID. So they're not playing, the usual Georgetown, Seton Hall, St. John's, Providence. Good teams on that side, but still will be a very competitive spring season for the Dogs. And there's no more snow on the field, so that's a plus.
Yes. We'd love to see more games here at the Selleck Bowl, because more games at the Selleck Bowl means more that we student broadcasters will be covering for you. So stay tuned for that, folks. Speaking of which, our next game on the schedule will be Wednesday, March 3rd against DePaul. And provided that nothing changes, that should be happening right here at the Selleck Bowl and covered by some students. I don't know who's on the schedule for that day, but
I'll be there, Kelly Hallinan.
there you go. I don't think I'm on the schedule for that day, but
looks like we just had a substitution. Hemi Nasser is now on the sidelines. He had a few opportunities to help out, get a goal for this second half, and he was replaced by Eric Hollenkamp.
Hollenkamp, we did see a little bit in the first half.
Hollenkamp is also an Indiana native. Started their first 3 games, did not start today, but he's always kind of been a presence on the field as well for the Dogs in his time here. He's a junior.
A good number of Indiana natives on this Butler team.
A few from not even close to Indiana, though, too.
Yeah, like there's
Georgie, Haywood, Myers.
Is Nasser the one who's from Tokyo?
No, Nasser's from Michigan.
Okay, yeah.
But Louis Bolger.
Yeah, Louis
yes.
Bolger, that's right. That's who it is. Louis
Yes.
Bolger from Tokyo.
I think I'm coming from far from New York, and then I talked to them, and definitely a little bit farther when it comes from Italy, England, a little bit different.
Yes, for sure. Teammates from many backgrounds.
Columbia with Cabrera.
Ball goes out of bounds. Butler will have the throw-in. Just under 30 minutes to play. Notre Dame leads 1-0.
Justin Savona with some room to Tommy Visser.
Here comes the cross from Visser, knocked away by Notre Dame.
It'll be a corner, though. Joel Harvey, I'm thinking, will take this kick. Oh, nope. It'll be a throw-in. It'll be a throw-in.
Corralled by McLaughlin, who rolls it out to his teammates. Deep kick goes all the way to Reese Myers in Notre Dame territory. Now to Georgie, back to Myers.
A lot more touches for the Dogs this half.
Which is a great sign for them being able to hopefully get back into this game.
Eric Hollenkamp applies some pressure. Little double team action there by Cabrera Jr. and Hollenkamp, but still not able to snag it from Notre Dame.
Jack Lynn of Notre Dame did have the ball there briefly. And I'd say an accomplishment for Butler so far has been their ability to defend him.
Yeah, Jack Lynn, leader of the line, junior forward. He's second in the ACC in goals per game and is tied for second in goals and second in points per game. And he missed early in the fall season because of injury, and he already made that much of an impact. But he has 20 career goals so far in his 3 years at Notre Dame. And then, as we said earlier, in their final match, he scored 3 times in the first half of the fall regular season against Louisville. 4-1 win, and Jack Lynn had 3 goals. So clearly a huge part of their offense.
Definitely an integral part, as you say. Ball goes back to McLaughlin, over to Quinton. Now O'Brien, or excuse me, Pellegrino. Knocked away by Barnes. Stolen back by O'Brien. Jack Lynn had it briefly.
Cross goes right to DeBalt from Ohio. He clears it out. DeBalt's another big defender. Tall guy, good to have those guys.
Yep, as we mentioned earlier, having that height down low is definitely helpful during the crucial corner kicks and other shots. Burns to Abelnadi, over to Quinton. A little bit of history for you folks on this Butler versus Notre Dame matchup. This will be the 7th time that these two programs are meeting, but it's the first regular season matchup that these teams have had since November 4th, 1994. They have played some exhibitions since then, but in the regular season, in that match, Notre Dame got the win by a score of 4-1. That was, again, November 4th, 1994. In the overall series, Notre Dame does hold a slight advantage over Butler, as they lead the series 3-2-1.
Notre Dame's also had a little bit of an advantage, as we mentioned earlier. They did have that fall season, so they've had competition. They faced other teams besides themselves. Kind of gives them a little bit of an edge. They got to get used to filling in those gaps of anyone who graduated or left or couldn't play. Whereas Butler, they're still getting back into the game mode. They all fall, it was just practices and lifts and quarantines, and definitely not even anything close to what a season would look like. But they're excited to be back, and I think that these non-conference games are key for them to find their rhythm right before Big East play.
Just under 25 minutes to go. Notre Dame leads 1-0. Butler in Notre Dame territory, though.
Jack Haywood and Joel Harvey looking for a spot that you can pass it.
Tried to send it up quick to Cabrera Jr., but Notre Dame was all over it. Myers and Barnes, though, keeping the ball at midfield.
Butler slowing it down a little bit. Do not want to waste any possessions. Every possession counts with 24 minutes to go. Still down 1, trying to tie it up, trying to get the win. It's going to take 2 goals.
Savona kicks to Hollenkamp.
Haywood into Cabrera Jr.
Just
so
grabbed
close.
Out of the air by McLaughlin.
And those are the kind of plays we like to see. We like to see Cabrera Jr. running full force at the goal, because most times with him it goes in our favor.
Absolutely. Not this time, though. A quick stoppage in play. Looks like some subs coming on the field.
Looks like Butler will get Hemi Nasser back in and DJ Hooks, 2 sophomores.
And Nasser, I think we mentioned earlier as well, but Nasser has scored Butler's only goal so far this season. Now, they've only played 3 games so far, but it was off of an assist from Wilmer Cabrera Jr.
Nasser's first career goal was at an away game at Seton Hall. I was actually there. It was very exciting, really good win, ran up the score. But Nasser took 25 shots on the year, which was 3rd on the team. So he's hungry. He's an offensive player. He's trying to get his get a goal for the team. And he's done so far this season, but just one for the Dogs. And that's their only goal in their last 3 matches. So,
yeah, it's been a difficult year so far on offense. Kind of a slow start for the Dogs. But here in the second half against Notre Dame, their offense has looked a lot more lively. Notre Dame leads 1-0. Just about 23 minutes to go. Kick deep by Haywood. Cabrera Jr. has the ball on the near side now. Tries to cross it to the middle, but no one's there in time. Visser almost got to it. Notre Dame back in control. Quinton up to O'Brien. Now to Radavoisa. And the ball eventually will go out of bounds.
Substitution for the Fighting Irish, 21 Matthew McLaughlin, for 10 Aiden McFadden. Into the Bulldogs, 10 Hemi Nasser, for 26 Griffin DeVolt. And 22 DJ Hooks for 2 Jack Streberger.
Nasser and
DJ Hooks.
yeah, Hooks in for Butler now.
DJ Hooks is a redshirt freshman. He's out of Michigan as well. Quite a few Michigan players on this team. He redshirted his freshman season, though. Georgie scoops up the ball, looks out to Savona.
Savona looked like he was going to try to advance, but instead sends it. Eventually goes to Georgie, and now Barnes. Butler will try the other side of the pitch now. Booming kick downfield. Knocked out of bounds. Goal kick coming here for the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame leads 1-0. Just about 20 minutes to go here. Here comes the kick. Goes past the initial.
Looks like it will be Butler ball. There was some complaining on the field, so something.
Haywood had it there momentarily, but then sent it back to Myers. Myers up to Harvey. Harvey still has it. Butler being patient here. Looks like a lot of play with Hollenkamp and Haywood. Eventually knocked away, though, by Notre Dame, so Butler will have to try again.
A very readable pass for the Notre Dame defense to just pounce on. But back to Butler.
Yeah, Notre Dame has definitely done a great job of reading a lot of these passes upfield that Butler's trying to go for. It's really stifling Butler's offense. Jack Haywood now, lining up to kick it away. He'll send it back to Barnes. Here comes Hollenkamp to Nasser. Stolen by Notre Dame. Butler gets the ball back. Nasser up to Cabrera Jr., just barely blocked. Butler retains possession, though. Hollenkamp sends it deep and sails past the goal, out of bounds.
Into the match for Notre Dame, 10, Aiden McFadden. For 6, Michael Pellegrino.
McFadden coming in for Pellegrino.
Simon Roenicke. For 27, Jack Lynn.
And Roenicke coming in for Lynn for Notre Dame. Looks like the Dogs will keep the same players out there. Goal kick from McLaughlin, headed by Butler. Hollenkamp up to Nasser. Looks like maybe Haywood back there. Harvey to Barnes. Passes to Myers. Back up to Harvey. And Nasser on the far end of the pitch, stolen by Notre Dame. Quinton knocks it away. Butler will retain possession in the end, though. Eventually, though, Notre Dame tries to pressure them out, so Georgie will have to get things reset here for Butler. Myers and Barnes both running after this ball. That was a little bit close there, but Georgie able to clean it up. And Harvey eventually just sends it out of bounds. Didn't like how this defense was getting set up here.
Substitution for Notre Dame.
And with that, Harvey will sub out.
16, Daniel Russo. And for the Bulldogs, 26, Griffin DeBolt. For 15, Joel Harvey.
Griffin DeBolt back in the game in Harvey's place. 16 minutes to go. Notre Dame leads 1-0 here at the Selleck Bowl. Butler trying to get their first win of the season. They're 0-3 so far. Notre Dame, meanwhile, enters this game with a 5-4 record. Here comes Myers. Up to Savona, who tries to get it to Cabrera Jr., but he's tied up with
Looks like
Abdelnadi from Notre Dame.
Yeah, pulled back, but they called that. They noticed it. Looks like it'll be a kick.
Butler with the chance to get set up once again in Notre Dame territory. With 15.5 minutes to go, these possessions are becoming more and more crucial. And especially in a game like soccer where it's often so low scoring. Every point counts, even more than in a game like basketball, say.
Jack Haywood gets the ball right in there for a chance for the Dogs.
Looks like McLaughlin thought about sending it to Reese Mayer. Instead, he's going to wait. Looks like setting up to send it deep here for Notre Dame. Here it comes. Headed back into Butler territory. It goes out of bounds on the far side of the pitch. It'll be a throw in for Notre Dame. Reese Meyer setting up to throw it in.
Notre Dame substitution, 14, Michael Lynch. For 8, Matthew.
Quick sub here for Notre Dame. Lynch is coming in. And with that, here comes the throw in. He runs up into it. Knocked away by Butler. Nice job clearing the ball out. Cabrera Jr. tied up again with Notre Dame's defenders. The official shaking his head.
Some talk on the field. Looks like Butler was looking for a yellow card call there, but obviously none were called.
Notre Dame leads 1-0 with just under 14 minutes to go here. Although the clock on the scoreboard has stopped, now it's going again.
It'll be a Butler throw in by Griffin to Bolt. He's going to send it back to the defense, let them reset a little bit. They're going to redo that. Looks like a substitution for Notre Dame.
Notre Dame making a lot of substitutions. That's Jack Lynn, who just came back onto the field, number 27. Cabrera Jr. knocked down yet again. He just can't catch a break here.
Substitution 27, Jack Lynn for 11, Simon Roenicke.
Myers to Hollenkamp. Hollenkamp working with it on the near side. Over to Barnes. Almost stolen by Notre Dame. Cleaned up by Barnes. The ball sails out of bounds, so it will result in a Notre Dame throw-in.
Substitution for Notre Dame, 16, Daniel
Knocked away by Myers, out of bounds. Up next for Notre Dame, they'll be playing Virginia on March 7th. Both of these teams looking to get into conference play here very soon. Just under 12 to go. Notre Dame still leads 1-0. Here's the throw-in. Over to Lynn. Can't keep a hold of it, though, as Barnes just knocks it out of bounds. And with all these throw-ins, time just continues to drain off the clock, and with that, opportunities for Butler are slipping away. Quinton sends it back to McLaughlin, who will just air it out. Eventually corralled by Barnes, and back to Georgie. Myers to Hollenkamp. Hollenkamp just about to cross midfield, finds Cabrera Jr., tries to send it up more, but more contact still
Looks
coming
like
against
that
Cabrera
will be a
there.
yellow card.
Finally, a yellow card comes out. Cabrera Jr. catching the break. He's so desperately needed here. So now, what will Hollenkamp do with this kick? He'll opt to send it up.
Notre Dame 7, Ethan O'Brien.
Headed by Myers. And caught by McLaughlin. McLaughlin's been holding it down at goal for Notre Dame today. Nice steal for Butler. Sent up to Cabrera Jr. That was Jack Streberger on the steal.
Still time for the cross.
Savona tried to get set up there, but Notre Dame's defense was just standing in the way already. Hollenkamp goes deep and out of bounds. 10 minutes to go now. Notre Dame leads 1-0. And McLaughlin taking his sweet time here.
Substitution 11, Tommy Visser for 22, DJ Hooks.
Visser will sub in for Hooks.
Notre Dame substitution 6, Michael Pellegrino for 14, Michael Lynch.
Pellegrino comes in for Lynch for Notre Dame. Hollenkamp, pass to Nasser. Nasser pushed to the ground. Can't get much more blatant than that.
Under 10 minutes to go, 9 minutes left in this game. 1-0, Notre Dame still has the lead from a first half goal. Butler's had a few opportunities this second half. They'll have another one right now.
With
Send
the kick.
it in.
Headed away by Notre Dame, but Cabrera Jr. is on top of it. Over to Hollenkamp. Passes to the Bolt.
Nice pass right in there through 3 or 4 Notre Dame defenders.
Jack Streberger somehow maintained possession there when I don't know how he managed to keep the ball under his control when there was so much defense in the area.
He's small and he's quick, and I think that's why they decided to start him today, to see what he could bring to the table. And he's definitely had a lot of touches this match so far. Even a very, very close opportunity to score at one point. And that Reese Myers header, that was another very close chance. He's a defender. He's one of their main defenders. But he still scored a goal last year. It was in their NCAA tournament loss to West Virginia. Only took 8 shots on the season because he anchors the defense. But that would have been his second goal from this season to last season.
O'Brien was down. He'll sub out. He's walking it off. He looks okay. But in the meantime, Radavoisa will come in. And with that, the clock starts rolling once more. Quickly kicked out of bounds. Butler's going to have to hurry it up here. Georgie, though, wanting to make sure he puts the ball in a good spot for his teammates.
Butler substitution 15, Joel Harvey for 14, Eric Hollenkamp.
Harvey comes in for Hollenkamp for Butler. He's got that neon green arm sleeve.
Hemi tries to do some fancy footwork, but Nasser got it stolen from him.
And with that, we're just under 7 minutes to go. Notre Dame still ahead by 1. Kicked up to Savona, but he can't get to it in time. The ball goes out of bounds. Notre Dame will have the throw in.
6 minutes and 30 seconds to go. And a lot of other sports we would say that's plenty of time. But in soccer, it's crunch time.
Yeah, when that clock keeps rolling, it's really not that much time. Sent up to Visser, who cannot control the ball. Notre Dame will have the throw in deep in their own territory. Here goes. Caught between the heads of a Butler and a Notre Dame player, and it will sail out of bounds.
Looks like that will go to Butler. Yet another chance on their side of the field to finish. Last year, a number of Butler men's soccer games went into overtime. Honestly, back-to-back-to-back overtime games and very long games, but Some of them, Butler came out on top. They get that second half, that overtime momentum, that run, and hopefully they'll get a second half run with 5 minutes to go.
Couldn't quite see it on screen there, but Burns was down on the field for Notre Dame, but he got up and he's still playing. Unfortunately, the windowsill blocks our angle a little bit in our camera shot. And the whistle blows again with 5.5 minutes to go. Time is just, it's really of the essence right now. McLaughlin looking for a clean kick downfield. Harvey and Myers in the area.
It's going to be Streberger who comes away with it, but the whistle is blown.
They'll play on, though. Harvey moves the ball over to the far side of the pitch. Here comes Butler. Back to Harvey. Harvey
sends it in, and almost a chance for Cabrera Jr.
Yeah, tried to cross it through there, but just too many Notre Dame players in the area to really get it through. Myers turning on the Jets.
Patty Burns splits the double, but ultimately Myers gets it back. And to Jergy it goes.
Jergy moving quickly. Headed away by Notre Dame, though.
We have 4 minutes to go. 1-0 Notre Dame. Butler is attacking, looking to stay in this game.
Barnes advances. Now working on the far side of the pitch, it's Joel Harvey. Sends it back to Savona. And over to Myers. Savona and Myers just advancing the ball together. Notre Dame eventually gets in front of it. 3.5 minutes to go. The Fighting Irish lead 1-0. And a big kick coming in from Streberger knocks down a Notre Dame player. I believe that's Reese Mayer from Notre Dame, who was on defense there. Kicked by McLaughlin. Under 3 minutes to go.
We talked about Butler's season this year, 0-3 right now with their non-conference schedule. Yet to have a Big East game so far, but let's go back to last year. They were a really good team. They still are a good team, but they finished 11-7-2. And one of my biggest memories, at least from last season, was they were one of the only teams to score, I think, 2 goals against Georgetown. They brought Georgetown to double overtime and penalty kicks in the Big East semifinals. Georgetown went on to win the national championship. No other team could do what Butler did against Georgetown. So it just shows that Butler is a really good soccer program, a really good team. And right now it's just a slow start. They're just looking to, I know I've said it 100 times, but just find their spot. And these 3 losses, I think, will just kind of show that they've had a long break and they've had a lot of practices, but
definitely takes time to knock the rust off. And with under 2 minutes to go here, the Bulldogs are going to have to hurry it up.
Every possible chance they can get, they're going to have to capitalize on.
Streberger moving to the middle of the pitch. Back to Joel Harvey. From the far side, almost crosses in. Here comes Savona. Has to bring the ball back.
1 minute and 20 seconds to go. Butler looking for their chance.
Big kick from Harvey, but it's knocked away by Notre Dame.
One minute to go.
1 minute to play.
And the ball is knocked out of bounds on the far side. That clock is really ticking. So many of these high kicks that just drain seconds off the clock with each kick. Here's another one. Knocked away again by the Irish.
The Irish now have possession, sending it upfield, trying to waste that
McFadden
time.
finds Lynn, but he's called offsides.
25 seconds. "17 seconds.
One more shot here for Butler. Maybe two. Now, with 10 seconds left, this is the last effort. But Lynn's got the ball. He'll just send it very deep. Almost goes
went in.
Oh, my goodness. And with that, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish take the victory today at the Selleck Bowl, 1-0 over the Butler Bulldogs. Butler drops to 0-4. A tough start to the season, but we're not in conference play yet. We will be, though, this coming Wednesday as Butler will take on DePaul right here at the Selleck Bowl. Stay tuned for that.
Is yet again scoreless in their third game in a row, not getting a ball in the back of the net. But that could change next Wednesday. Take on DePaul again at home. First Big East matchup of the Midwest region. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there. But from today against Notre Dame, thank you for tuning in to the Butler Athletics live stream. I'm Kelly Hallinan.
And I'm Nick Lewis. And, yep, that's it for us, folks. Final score one more time from the Selleck Bowl, 1-0 Notre Dame over Butler. We hope you'll join us for our next broadcast this Wednesday, March 3rd, for the Big East men's soccer opener versus DePaul. Again, right here at the Selleck Bowl. But thank you so much for watching Butler men's soccer on the Butler Athletics YouTube channel.